Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chasing a Murderer. And today, guys, I am going to go over some very important information. I think it's important. And I miss you guys so much. I've been busy. My little boopy, she's 12 years old and she's been struggling with some health issues. So I've been dealing with that. Heartbreaking because I love that dog more than anything in this world. It just kills us when we see our little lovely friends like that start to go downhill. So I've had several vet trips just this week alone. Not to mention, if you can imagine, I think they cost more than we do when we go to the doctor. So fingers crossed, I think we might have got something working for her and getting her going the correct direction. I certainly hope so. So you guys know that I cover a lot of cases where we deal with pregnant women that go missing, or we see these fetal abductions. They're kind of on the rise right now. Things that we've seen happening once in a blue moon are now happening several times a year. And this is probably one of the things that get to me the most, is seeing these young pregnant women glowing with happiness and joy. And if you've ever had a child, you know this is considered to be one of the most transforming and magical moments in a woman's life. Because as you're carrying that child, you have this incredible love that festers inside, and people really cannot understand it unless they've been pregnant and delivered their child. Not saying that they can't, they're not capable of a love. Of course they are. But this tiny life that you bring into this world, well, it just triggers these feelings and emotions that one cannot get unless they have been pregnant themselves. And it's the most deep, the most beautiful, sincere love there is on this earth. When the child is born, the parents each adore this child and they count every finger and toe. And I think I can speak for you when I say they're thinking, how did we bring such a beautiful child into this world? So, some of these stories that I've covered, these are expectant mothers. They should be our most protected community members out there, but they're being hunted. Today, there are around 213 million pregnant women around the world. In America, 40% of our pregnant women, well, they're unmarried. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it comes with this different type of bond. According to recent stats, they're saying that pregnancy numbers, well, they're seeing them go down. However, there's approximately 10,000 births daily just here in the US alone. That is a lot of babies. And guys, they're saying that COVID had an impact on the pregnancy rates, saying that they've gone down. But I don't know about you, but my family members are getting pregnant left and right. Everyone but my children. And I have wanted grandkids from the day I had my kids. I've threatened them that they're not going to get their birthday dinner unless I have a grandkid. That don't work. I begged them. That doesn't work. So I just decided I'm just going to adopt the world's children instead. Why not? Because these children need that extra attention anyways, because parents are having to work so many darn hours just to pay the bills. Anyways, I can complain about not having grandkids all day long, but I won't torture you with that. So here's the problem. 20% of the pregnant women in the US are victims of, you want to guess what? Murder. It's not blood clots after giving birth. It's not bleeding out. It's attached to domestic violence or intimate partner violence. Many of them men who do not want the responsibility of having a child. And I'm no way putting down all men. And so I've come up with something, a name for these guys that don't want responsibility and who can kill for their own selfish reasons. And it's IDWR syndrome. I don't want responsibility. And while there are a few women that have killed other pregnant women, we'll get into those details later, the majority of the murderers are men, practically nearly 100%. And we can only guess why, but it seems to me, based on the research I've done so far, is that these men feel trapped with no options to get out. So we know women, they're pretty much free to have an abortion or not, but men don't really have that option. They're practically reliant on whatever their significant other decides. And also, domestic violence is real and still a problem. And here's something else I found out. These issues seem to be more prevalent in places like Chicago, Maryland, and New York, more in the poverty stricken areas. And it's very hard to get exact numbers since there's no major research for murders of pregnant women. We can, however, get a rough idea that since 1990, there are approximately 1,400 new mothers, pregnant women, who are murdered. And they are murdered either before they give birth or right after. I apologize, guys. I'm having to switch environments. So here's a few numbers that I was able to dig up for you guys. They are saying that a lot of these pregnant women who are killed by their loved ones, it's about 57% who are killed with firearms. And I can go back to a case here that happened just a few years back with Brandon Thiesfield. So he's in college. His dad's a doctor. I'm not going to go into extravagant of details. And he's dating it's like a side chick type thing with a girl named by the name of Allie Costal. She's from St. Louis, Missouri, but she's always dreamed of going to the University of Mississippi. Now, this case was kind of difficult to get a lot of details or background on her because the parents were really hush hush on this. And according to what we're learning today, it's not medical that she was interested in, it was business. And Allie and Brandon, well, they were kind of dating on and off, and she seemed to really like this guy. Here's the thing, she tells Brandon that she thinks she's pregnant. And here's the thing about some of these women, not saying this in a bad way or disrespectful, is they use pregnancy to kind of lure them closer to them. And she seemed to be struggling a little bit with her love for Brandon and kind of the rejection she was dealing with him. It appeared that Brandon had interest in other women while he was also giving her the green light. She calls or texts Brandon and wants to meet up with him to discuss the possibility of her being pregnant. Brandon ignored her text, but eventually ends up answering a few of them. But it was clear that he didn't want a child. He didn't want to get that serious. This is what's kind of strange, is she believes that she's pregnant, but she ends up at a bar. We don't know why. And she's appears to be a little bit intoxicated, but we don't know. She's looking at her phone. July 19th, 2019, around 11:52. The bar is in Oxford Square, not too far from their school. She gets in an Uber and she heads home alone. According to prosecution, July 20th, 2019, around 1:28 a.m. that morning, Brandon picks up Allie. She leaves her apartment and they drive together to an abandoned fishing camp in Sardis Lake. It is described that it's about a 45-minute drive from Oxford. According to the grand jury report, there were witnesses out walking their dog around 2 or a little bit after 2 a.m. that morning, and they claimed that they heard gunshots. According to this news article, because I haven't had time to update on this case actually, it was around 10:30 a.m. on July 20th of 2019 that a deputy is actually patrolling the area and he runs across the remains of Allie Costal. Allie's purse is found on the side of the road with her ID and her driver's license inside. And what we learn is horrifying. This girl was not only shot once or twice. They say that she was shot at least 9 times. They found 11 shell casings at the crime scene. His defense attorney, Anthony Faris, says that one of the shots Brandon fired was towards the lake. They really kept this kind of hush-hush for a bit, but what in the world could have made someone that cared about someone else at one time or another shoot them so many times, 9 times? This is obviously rage. Investigators are very quick to identify Allie and immediately reach out to her friends, and many of them mention his name, Brandon Thiesfield, as a person that they suspected could be part of whatever happened. So here you have really young, I call them kids, just starting college. He still has a baby face, and so does she. And yet, they're having to look at this baby faced guy as a possible person of interest in this horrifying case. As police start catching on to what might have happened to Ali, well, they head to his apartment where they find a note that he had left behind. Turned out that the guy seemed to be struggling mentally, emotionally as well. He explains that he had always had horrible thoughts, but he had never ever had that any kind of violence or fighting in his background. And Allie, well, she was just totally in love with this guy. She was texting him all hours of the night, including after leaving the bar. It gotten so bad that Brandon had to block her from calling him. That's according to friends and witnesses. It seemed that Allie was doing anything she could to be close to Brandon, but Brandon just didn't have that mutual feeling. Police get in contact with Brandon by phone and ask him to come in and talk with them. Well, he never shows up. They start tracking his phone and follow him from Oxford. He's moving towards Tennessee. Police are reaching out to other law enforcement agencies around this area, telling them to be on the lookout for this guy. They eventually track him down. They discover him at a gas station in between the two areas, where they discover the Glock that was used in this killing was still in his vehicle. COVID hit around this time, and it was very difficult to get some of these cases moving and getting forward to get justice for some of these families. Meanwhile, he was being evaluated mentally, which was creating several roadblocks for Justice Road. They start digging deeper into what that letter said that they found in his apartment, and it appeared that he said he always had these dark thoughts, and it was fueled by cocaine and alcohol. He says, I think this is the end for me. I'm either going to prison or I'm going to die. He apologized for his bad handwriting and kind of went into a pity me type episode, in my opinion. Before this horrifying event happened, it seemed that investigators had found out that Brandon had been in the Oxford area on that Saturday, in and out anyways. He was staying with some friends, and some friends say that everything was normal. They were going bowling, then it wasn't. He brought a gun into their house. He got a 6-pack of beer. They said they talked the night, went to sleep. When he woke up, he was gone. Here's the thing. If Brandon didn't want to be with her, well, he didn't make that clear enough because they were having several sexual encounters. But he never took her on a date, never took her to dinner. But Allie kept on seeking his attention, his love. He says he just wasn't interested. Or rather, he would tell her that he wasn't good enough for her. Allie texted him and showed a picture of an inconclusive pregnancy test. Here's the issue. She hasn't even had her period yet or missed her period yet, but she's very, very persuasive and seems very excited and hoping that that blue line shows up. She says she can see a very faint blue line. In a text, she says, I don't know. I guess we can wait and see if I miss my period. Brandon will text back and tell her, I don't care what it comes back. We're not keeping it. You can take the pill. And she almost seems to kind of egg at him. It seems as she needs to use this to try to get Brandon closer to her. Here's her response. I'm not saying what I'm going to do because I don't know what's happening. But even if you don't want to be involved, like, I am really pretty and sweet, and I know I will meet a real man one day. In this one text, there is enough in there to make him feel very uneasy or unsettled. Basically, she's going to keep the child. And if he don't want anything to do with her or the child. Well, she believes that she's pretty and sweet and kind of downs him as not being that good man that she'll get in the future. Brandon starts searching the internet for if the mother wants the child, but the father doesn't. And for a pregnant girl, she writes, I'm living up. I'm partying 24/7. I did that so my body would decide. So there's some major trouble going on for Allie. She tells Brandon that probably talking in person would be better. He tells her that he's busy right now, but he'll get up with her. But no matter what, the decision is he wants her to take the pill. Friends are also very concerned about her mental state and the things that she's doing. She's no longer focused on her future or her success in exams. All of her effort is trying to make Brandon, to me, in my opinion, pay attention to her or love her. The two of these young college kids, they're both going through some mental challenges. And the lack of communication is very evident here. You have one that's trying to kind of pull someone into a trap, and then the other one just not even acknowledging the fact that he should have handled this situation better than he did. They're young. They just got out from underneath their parents and they've got all this freedom, and they were not ready for it, evidently. So on Reddit, you can go check this out. I found some interesting stuff there. And according to them, it was Friday, July 12th, that Brandon takes this road trip home to Fort Worth, Texas. That same day, Allie texted him a photo of two more home pregnancy tests. She already knows how he feels about this, yet she's continuing to send these texts. Less than 48 hours later, around 4:16 p.m., he posts a disturbing photo on social media. He does a Snapchat saying with a picture of a .40 caliber gun, finally taking my baby back to Oxford. It's from there that everything went downhill for both of these guys. Beautiful Allie Costel and a very young, baby-faced Brandon Thiesfield destroyed lives simply because neither one of them knew how to handle this newfound freedom. Now, this case, it turned out she was not pregnant, but it seemed that she was trying to use pregnancy in some way to communicate or to get Brandon to do as she pleased, only creating a horrible situation for them both. And I'm not meaning this in any way to put anyone down. I just want to share this example with other women and hopefully other young women who are out there of how dangerous that some people can be, and you might not know them as well as you think. Turns out Brandon admitted that he had always had terrible thoughts. And if it hadn't have been Allie, would it have been someone else? Sadly, Allie knew exactly which buttons she needed to press to turn this guy into the monster he is. And it all boiled down to fear, the guy feeling trapped, and not knowing how to handle the situation. So this will be part one of the pregnancy series that I'm going to do, because this ended up being way longer than I had planned for it to be. And the sad part about this is both families lost two children. Brandon Thiesfield pleaded not guilty at the beginning, but ended up making a plea deal last minute and give a, I would say, not so remorseful apology to Allie's parents about her life being taken. Brandon's mother mentioned the fact that he was going through some things and she wished that he had just come forward and talked to them, that there's always a way out of these situations. And guys, forgive me for the background noise. That crow, he's loud and there's nothing I can do about it. At first, Brandon's mother said that she couldn't believe that he was capable of doing such a thing, but after everything come out, that she's just heartbroken to find out that he couldn't come to her before having to deal with this situation alone. Allie Costal was a smart, beautiful young sunshine. Brandon was a young, good-looking guy. Both of them had their whole lives ahead of them, and now neither one of them do. So that's just horrifying to me in itself, just to see two young people make such a mistake that could have been easily fixed. Ladies, never, never make a man feel like he is cornered. And men, you never, never have to resort to violence in any way to resolve any kind of issue you feel that you're cornered by. I just hope that this can be prevented from this ever happening to anyone else. We'll talk about several stories in the next video, one of them being Shanann Watts. She is a mother of two and was expecting a new baby. She was married to, a lot of people are very familiar with this case, Chris Watts. He took the lives of his entire family because he was seeing another woman. So, and then the other case, there's so many of them, I don't know which one to choose. It'll probably be Ochoa, a young expectant mom that had no idea that someone was hunting her to rip that baby from her womb. We have several more stories after these next two. They involve Kiera Coles, Jasmine Robinson, and Heidi Brizard. Please, guys, take a moment to share these other faces that continue to go missing. If you like the videos that I work very hard on, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and you can give to my Patreon page at Chasing a Murderer, because I don't do the lives and stuff like a lot of the other true crime community members do. And trust me, you don't even hardly make a penny with YouTube. I would really like to continue doing this and raising awareness for little girls like Dulce here, who went missing in New Jersey. That was 2019. And here we are, 2023. No clue whatsoever what happened to her. Love you guys. See you guys soon.